Alrighty, so this weekend I played like 30 something games, 33. So I have quite a lot of replays to go through, and I finally decided which few I want to showcase on the channel. So this first game is going to be against Sir Dragon. Let's get straight into the draft. The first ban Pepsi by him, tank push player. I ban Lucretia. So with this box here, I almost always first ban Lucretia because the main idea is my plan A is basically picking my usual assassin kind of stuff, but in this box I only have 4 assassins. So my plan B that I want to fall back on is having Bern or Autocrato be the sub-tank, and sometimes preferably with a healer depending on what I'm fighting. So you can see in my opponent box here, so he only has 3 magic DPS if you count the Kruger. So it's just Lucretia, Lana, and Kruger. There's no T-Jess, no Kyra. So once I first ban the Lucretia, and I pick Rosen here because his lineup is mostly magic and assassins. Although it's not very heavy on assassins, it's just 3. Pepsi, Cherie, and Diehard. So I felt Rosen was a good pick because it completely neutralizes the Kruger. Kind of counters Autocrato a little bit. And just because I think that I can get away with getting a sub-tank here, he probably won't first pick Lana. So usually tank push players, their first pick will usually be the tank if they only have 2. Although you can argue that he has a sub-tank in Autocrato, but since he didn't ban my Lucretia, he's probably not going to pick Lana into Autocrato. That sounds like a kind of shit draft. So bans 2 tanks here. I guess correctly, he first picks magic tank first. So after this, I can ban Lana and Pepsi. So usually I'm not too scared of fighting Pepsi, especially if I have my own Pepsi. But if I don't have my own Pepsi, then yeah, it's a bit harder to fight an opponent Pepsi. So, and also because since I'm going to pick Bern here, Bern's kind of not scared of anything else here, and Kruger is like, I already have Rosen, so I don't need to care about it as much. I'm not really that worried about a random Dark Reaper Kruger flying at me. So naturally, like after Lana, the next ban is Pepsi. Nothing special about it. Pick the Bern here. Lose 2 more assassins. Lost pretty much all my assassins at this point, but I still have Cherie and Diehard. So opponent picks Diehard here. I think people are just trying to feel out the Diehard, but after playing him for a bit and also playing against him quite a bit, I realized that Diehard's kind of shit without the fairies that are coming next week, so he's not really worth running at the moment. Gets fucked by terrain, can't really kill most of the tanky stuff with Elven Cavalry Archers. He has a lot of problems. So definitely not worth a second pick, but people are probably just trying him out because this was my first 5 calibration games. So it's really early on the ladder. I picked the Cherie here because of my last assassin. Why not? Lose my Diehard, Lucretia. Here, we pick the Wet Ham. So since I've burned Rosen, I'm not too scared of Wet Ham. Wet Ham with a certain skill set can kill Bernhard, but we'll go into that a bit more later. I don't have an example from my games, but I've seen it in other people's games. So here I just ban Rosen and Elma because I want to play... Actually no, I banned that probably just to force him into a healer and in case I want to pick Wet Ham later. So these immunity healers, I just don't want to deal with it. Even though I'm playing Bern as a tank, so it's not the main priority. Actually, when I saw that ban, I thought I was going to pick Wet Ham here, but I didn't. So usually, if you want to pick Wet Ham, you want to get rid of the immunity stuff. But he also has Gospel. So here, I ban out, because I banned those 2 healers, so he's more inclined to ban Wet Ham and Helena. They both do quite a bit of AoE damage. As compared to Ares, where Ares doesn't really do debuffs, even though he does do AoE. These 2 units kind of do more on the debuff side. Picks Liana, kind of expected. Ban out Christian because I don't want to deal with 2 tanks, and this is why I don't want to deal with 2 Ag against. And I'm not really scared of the other 2 because I have Rosen. Pick the Ares to round things up here. No, just usual TJS plus Assassin, and Ares is just here to cause a bit of chaos. Maybe you can Dispel Guard, you can spin someone out of position. Usual support kind of stuff. So if we go into the Wet Ham into Bern matchup, usually Wet Ham with Gargoyles cannot kill Bern with Iron Fist, just straight up cannot kill. So you need to bring Werewolves to even have a chance of killing Bernhard. But if you have a Cherie on the map, it kind of gets a bit complicated because Wet Ham with Werewolves without SSM can die to Cherie Shadow Raid because the Shadow Raid animation is faster, so the holy body of Cherie will go in front and kill out all the werewolves, probably even overkill the werewolves. And then the remainder hits plus the Earth Elf Knight can finish off Wet Ham's body, especially if he doesn't have any buffs, like no defensive buffs. Here he has a Gospel, but in most situations, Wet Hams won't have a lot of buffs, so that's a little bit of a synergy that's good to keep in mind. You can take Tank Burn, and then you just have a Cherie to kind of restrict what a Wet Ham can do. And the most secure way of Wet Ham killing Bernhard is you need to bring Crush over Shadow Step. So if you bring Crush over Shadow Step, it means that your mobility is a bit more limited, even though with Spirit Boots. You basically put your sword and then you move 5 steps. That's your mobility. You can't use it to jump behind to the backlines or to get extra mobility that way. No, you can't do that. So I'll just play the match and we'll see what happens exactly. So given both our drafts, it's kind of slow because we're both having a tank. So turn 1 is just a lot of setup. I'll just let it play it out. So I just get everyone into guard in case of a random Wet Ham move. Get into a cross formation. No, plus formation actually. Just chilling, not in a rush to get anywhere. So with this Die Hard move, I just saw a free kill. So you can argue whether it's worth it or not to trade, but I think committing a cooldown to kill the only assassin on the other team, considering my team lineup, is pretty worth. And I want to get rid of it before any Act Again bullshit comes out and I lose my TJS randomly. The other units can be kind of dealt with my Burn. My Burn will at least tank 1 hit. So not too worried about it in terms of trading. I think I'll still come out ahead in the trade. So I just make my teleport move to take out a Die Hard. It's too late for him to act again. So I take that kill and now I'm just waiting for my Cherie to be ready again. So it's now on him to make a move before I get my cooldown back. Okay, so he act against here, so ready to fight. So let's look at my Bernhard's condition. So right now he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 dispellable buffs. And 1, 2, 3 of them are related to how bulky my Bernhard is. So Annihilation dispels 5 buffs. So there's a fairly high chance that I will retain at least one of these defensive buffs, which is the parry defense, the miracle damage taken, and my normal defense buff. So there's a pretty decent chance that I'll keep at least one of them. So that's one of the problems of using Wet Ham to try and kill Bernhard. And the other problem is that Hegemony dispels one buff on melee attack. So in this case, Wet Ham has a lot of buffs because Liana dropped Auto Creation onto him. But normally, if there are no other buffs, when a Wet Ham initiates, he basically has two buffs, which is his attack buff and his immunity buff. So there's a 50% chance that Wet Ham will lose his attack buff and the move straight up fails, like by a significant margin. But in this case, he has 5 buffs, so it's a 1 out of 5 that attack buff gets dispelled. So we'll see it in action here. I barely survive it here. And Sunshade to heal back up. So this Wet Ham has a 1533 attack stat. I would say this is pretty high end. Usually people try to build their Wet Hams on the bulkier side, but I think he sacrificed quite a bit of HP for the attack. I think this attack is roughly 34 to 35% because mine is 149 something after planting the sword, and mine is around 31% attack. So this is roughly 34 to 35% attack, I'll say. And look at my burn. I kept my Miracle Defense buff. So it looks kind of close, but my Lava Titans are also only level 9. I haven't maxed them yet. So I'm not sure if that mattered. I don't know Werewolves versus Lava Titan, if that extra level will make the Werewolves take an extra hit to kill. So there's that. But in this case, it also doesn't really matter if the Wet Ham does kill my Bernhard, right? Because Helena comes in, it can't reach my Cherie. Can it reach? No, it cannot because these are water tiles. So Helena can only run straight. So even if it kills my Ares or Tejas, fine. Actually, first we play the next move first because I just straight up kill Wet Ham here. So you can see his sword is here, like he has maximum damage reduction. But because he has Werewolves in front of a Twilight Tejas, it doesn't matter. It will always die. That's that. So even if the Wet Ham did kill my Bernhard, it doesn't really matter because no matter what the Helena kills, it's stuck here. And my next move, Tejas Shadow Ray into normal attack, will finish off the Helena. And eventually I will just win by damage, or if I don't manage to kill the Liana. So that's a pretty done game from this point. And yeah, he does one last Helena move just to check for the damage. Does not look pretty. Sunshade really nice for these kind of multiple melee attacks drafts, especially with a Rosen, so you don't get heal reversal by Wet Ham. Sometimes you can just win the game off RNG Sunshade, letting you tank an extra attack. So yeah, that will be it for this game. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.